So this is Wave's new Cr8 creative sampler. With the new Cr8 you can turn any sound into an inspiring playable instrument with 8 sample layers, 5 time stretching algorithms, key and BPM analysis, and a brand new Cosmos sample. Yeah, but is it any good? In today's video we're going to be checking out the brand new Cr8 creative sampler as well as the free Cosmos sample finder. So I am Dixon, and if you're new here, be sure to subscribe if you want a channel to follow on your music producer journey. Now, so this is what the Cr8 looks like in DAW. I'm going to be using it in Ableton. Obviously you can use it in whatever you want to use it in. Straight out of the box it comes with 800 presets that are nicely named over here. Its default sample library finder is the Cosmos, and you just click this button here, this magnifying glass button, and it opens up a whole new world of samples and loops and one-shots. Cosmos itself comes with over 2,500 loops, samples and one-shots. To take a sound from the Cosmos and put it into Cr8, we would just double click on it, drag and drop it or anything like that. There you are. And at first glance, especially if you use Ableton, you might say it looks a little like and it feels a little like the simpler that we have in Ableton. And yeah, it kind of does give me simpler vibes, but only if simpler was like jacked up on steroids, because this has so many different features. Start down here, it has loads of different modulations. And you can assign these modulations to these dials here. You have this drop down section here, which is the different time stretching modes. You have this route button here as well, which kind of like figures out which route you should be in, just to make sure that your sample's in key all of the time. You can layer sounds on top of other sounds by clicking this here. You can put multiple sounds on top of each other, and that's what essentially these presets are here. We'll click a random instrument, we'll go to a mallet. So as you can see here, that mallet is made up of all of these individual sounds here. When you do have multiple sounds like this, you can spread it across the keyboard, so you can choose what note activates what sound. So if I want this sound here to just be played when I hit the C2 key, I can just make it C2 there. So I was messing around with this earlier on today, and I was in the Cosmos sample finder, and it is crazy. Obviously it comes with its own 2,500 samples, but you can add your own folder by using this button here. You can either click that or drag and drop your own in there, and it'll kind of sort out your library as well, not just theirs. Everyone's going on about this part here. Each individual dot signifies a sound. From left to right, it goes by frequency, so your lowest frequencies will be over here in the yellowish part, and you go all the way up to the higher frequencies here as well. And we all know this looks very, very familiar, by the way. See, low frequencies to high frequencies. Very cool. Another great thing about this is if you have crazy named samples, like if you have a snare that's called sample 21, you'll never know that's a snare, but because of this library and the way it's set up, it will group the snare with all of the rest of the snares regardless of what it's named. So you might come across samples that you either didn't know you had or you haven't heard for a very long time. I probably won't be using this viewfinder unless I particularly need something that's going to fill out a higher range, a higher frequency, or something that needs to be filled out in the lower frequency. This could be a nice window to jump in as you have your frequencies right there, lowest to highest. Just a quick interruption. If you are feeling the video, feel free to hit that like button, as it really does help push the video through the algorithm. And also, if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. We do videos like this once, twice every single week. So we have this piano preset here. Very lo-fi sounding. I've came up with this simple melody here. It's basically just a D sharp minor melody. I'll give you kind of an idea of how I made it, and this is basically the chord itself right here. I inverted these, and even though it might not look like it, these are just basically standard D minor chords but with a few passive notes. And then all I did is went up 5 notes. But rather it sounding the same old and boring, I kind of switched up the groove and inverted a few notes as well. In terms of messing around with the modulations and things like that, I tweaked it here and there, but it's pretty much as is. The preset was just fine the way it is. I really like the melody and it was good to go. So what I did was I had bounced out that MIDI that I had made with the piano and threw it back into Cr8 afterwards. And I made this little section here to make it sound unique at the end of the loop. All I did was I shortened the actual loop by moving this here to this point. So all I did is click reverse. This is the reverse button right here. So this is what that sounds like together. And I think that little reverse set at the end just gives it a little bit more character. Next up, I found a nice bass in the synth bass section called the Distributor. And whilst I was messing around with this reverse part, I accidentally hit another key on the keyboard. And I instantly got like drill vibes, so I kind of like went off on a tangent and started working on that instead. When you are chopping and skewing your loops, you can use these features here to fade in and fade out, just so you don't get that annoying clipping sound. Then I wanted to switch it up and maybe do something pop or R&B sounding, so I went into the Cosmos, flicked through some loops. I found this very smooth loop here called Smoothie. Instantly I kind of got like R&B vibes or some kind of chill vibe from it. I was feeling like that old Drake filter drums type of vibe. Didn't really mess around with it again too much, to be honest. I'm more of a plug and play kind of guy. I'm not really getting into the nitty gritty of tweaking every individual dial. If it sounds great already, then I don't need to touch it. I'd rather just make melodies and keep it moving. But what I did do is I turned on the filter and I cut it a little bit just to give it kind of like an underwater kind of feel. Something I haven't mentioned yet is that within these presets, they actually come with quite a few drums as well. You can go to drum kits for like genres, or you can get the individual one-shot drums. And I flicked through a bunch and I came with this little progression here. Threw some effects on there. The Cosmos also comes with a bunch of great drums as well for different kind of genres, BPMs and keys. So whether you get Cosmos by itself because it's free, or you get the Cr8 as well as the Cosmos, if you get either or both together, you get so much cool free stuff. That's kind of the takeaway from it. If you can't afford to get the Cr8, don't worry about it. The Cosmos has so much stuff in it as well. I haven't mentioned the fact you can just drag and drop your own samples in here as well. which is kind of funny really, because I don't feel like there's a need to maybe even use your own samples. There's so many within Cr8 itself, but in this instance I needed to find kind of like a Reese Moog bass. They had some, but I didn't really have the one that I wanted. I knew which one I wanted, and it was this soft Reese one here. I just dragged and dropped it into the player. I love the fact you can make like synths from any sound as well. So this is obviously like a Reese bass, but if you click this hand gesture here, so you can pick a part of the sound and it will just stay on that part of the sound and it would just play there. So essentially you can make new sounds from any other sounds, which is awesome. And then you can actually save those sounds as presets and add it to your presets folder. So this is what we have. So I was getting really like R&B vibes from it, and even though the Cosmos does come with some vocals, yeah, oh, love really hurt. I already had a acapella in mind that I had downloaded from elsewhere, so I just threw that in there just to kind of get an idea of how it would sound with this production. How can I refuse you? No, you know exactly what you're doing. When we play this game, I can't help but feel I'm losing. Loving you so inconclusive. Still I cannot refuse it, even though I know exactly what you're doing. When we play this game, I can't help but feel I'm losing. Cause loving you so inconclusive. Here's another example of that frozen tool as well on the pad, just to give you a better idea. Before we was using a bass, this is an actual pad, you might get better results. So yeah, able to make other synths from nothing, that's pretty cool. So in my last video I said to you guys, if you comment drifting in the comment section below, I'll give you a shout out in my next video. Well, this is that next video, and here are the people that commented. If you would like a shout out in my next video, all you have to do right now is click like on this video, and in the comment section below just comment wave after wave and I'll give you a shout out in my next video. But bear in mind it is the first 20 people that comment, but we'll get a shout out. Now let's get back into it. So I seen that there was like a lo-fi drum kit in here, so I thought I'd try my hand at some lo-fi sounding loops or one shots. So I found this vibraphone here in the Cosmos. And then I clicked this button here, which I haven't showed you yet, which is called the seesaw. Basically it'll play the loop forwards, but as soon as it hits that point that you set there, it will start going backwards, which makes it sound really cool. I made this melody here, which is essentially just a C major melody, but kind of strummed a little bit with a few passing notes right here. Added a few effects on there. Found this sub called Sub Hit 1. Threw in some other sample loops I had lying around. Not really sure what kind of genre that is, maybe like a bit of lo-fi boom bap type. I'm thinking about throwing something from my movie in there, like some kind of speech, and definitely like a counter melody as well would sound pretty cool, but you get the idea. These plugins are for all genres as I've expressed in today's video, and I only planned to make one loop and show you guys how I made it, but I just kept stumbling across different samples and different loops with different one shots, and I was like, oh, maybe I should try this one, and oh, maybe I should try this one, and I kept moving on to different loops, different projects, different genres, because when you hear a one shot or a loop, it kind of sparks the idea within you instantly, and then you head down that pathway Oh, feel free to let me know which loop you was feeling the most as well out of those three. In all seriousness, I could have made two separate videos, one for the Cr8 and one for the Cosmos sample finder. There's so much to go into on both sides, so I've kind of just kept it kind of vague. The Cosmos is an awesome sample finder, so many different samples in there. The Cr8 sampler is a great sampler. I haven't even dove into the soft mono, the unison, the mixer. I haven't even automated any modulations down here for you guys either, but there's just so much to go into. So let me know what you think about the Cr8 and Cosmos. Bear in mind, you don't need to buy the new Cr8 to get Cosmos. You can get Cosmos absolutely free by itself. But also bear in mind, the Cr8 is just $9.99 at the moment, which is absolutely a bargain. Since you're still here, make sure you click subscribe and make sure you click that like button as well, as it really does help push the video through the YouTube algorithm. If you do want more plugin videos, I'll leave one here and one here. And if you do want a random video from the channel, I'll leave one right over here. Be safe, be productive, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one.